You're listening to the Catalyst Podcast.
You got to build an incredible team that demands excellence.
God's looking for a generation of leaders. God is calling us to be leaders who are fearless.
It is humility plus will. That is where the essence of the leadership begins.
Leadership is a stewardship. It is temporary, and you're accountable.
Welcome back to the Catalyst Podcast for the week of March 25th, 2021. It's officially spring. Spring has sprung, as they say, Brad.
Yeah. What are you, like 90 years old? Spring has sprung.
I think so. What is it?
You sound like a grandfather or a grandmother.
April showers bring May flowers. Even
Something
though
like that.
We're still in March.
Spring doesn't come until the Masters. So let's just be really clear. Okay. Once the Masters happens and Easter happens, then that's really when spring begins.
I'll give you that. Although today in Atlanta, we are having some nice spring-like weather, so always enjoy that.
The yellow snow.
Mm-hmm. Right. I also want to mention, as we're recording here, Brad, that today is World Water Day. And so by the time folks hear this, the day itself will have passed, but of course, we always want to raise awareness. We'll be putting that message out on our socials today, and partner with our longtime friends, Charity Water. The incredible work that they've done. If you go into, there's so many things we could say about Charity Water: how to lead an organization, how to funnel funds to the things that need it in the most efficient and effective way possible, but just incredible work and have made so many strides since it began. They are in continuation of the awareness from World Water Day. They're going to be doing a water stream for the next 30 days, starting from today for 30 days, that you guys can continue to take part in over the next 30 days. So if you've known about Charity Water for a while and never really gotten involved, now's a great time to check that out and to get involved with them. Charity,
and I would recommend you sign up for the spring.
Yes.
So the spring is the ongoing monthly membership program, and you can sign up for $10 a month or $50 a month or more. But this is a great way to support the work of Charity Water and allow them to be able to, plan ahead and have cash flow and create an ongoing connection to you. And you'll get updates and you'll be able to stay connected on a regular basis. So I'm a spring member. I recommend it for everybody. charitywater.org, and you'll find information there.
And remember, spring has sprung. See, there's a tie-in there to what I said earlier.
Yeah, we got the spring, we got the stream, we got the well, we got Charity Water. Yeah, we're all those things tie in, right?
Exactly. Well, Brad, I have we have to talk about March Madness for just a minute at least.
Okay.
And you and I happen to be in the same, or one of at least the same pools.
You're up there you're up there pretty high there, buddy. What'd you do? Did you close your eyes and pick?
Well, I won't give away my secrets, but okay. I'll say it wasn't all my intellectual property. I'll leave it at that. Because with the way things have unfolded so far this year, and there are games going on right now, I think yesterday only two favorites won out of all the games. I think
it's chaos is what it is, which everybody loves. I mean, everybody loves total dysfunctional chaos. ORU, expect a miracle, buddy. Expect a miracle from the Golden Eagles.
That's amazing, absolutely amazing. And as a Bulldog over here, I am always happy when Florida loses. So,
sure,
I'll be an ORU fan over here. I think I'm I'm still, I think, tied for 6 as of today. After Saturday, after round 1, I was sitting in second place. So, but,
and it's what we're referring to, listeners and friends, is a pool that our buddy Chris Ediger,
yes.
longtime member of the Giant Impact Catalyst family, a twinsy to John Mark McMillan as
yes,
well. Just
exactly.
FYI.
Doppelganger.
But Chris Ediger's been running. He's been running one of the best March Madness tournaments that I know of. Mm-hmm. And now, I mean, there's like 150 people in this thing, and he sends out like emails and daily updates, and it's a legit. He could rival ESPN with his
yes.
with his in-depth interaction and the response and feedback he gives. So
yeah,
that's what we're talking about.
It's quite impressive. And I don't expect to remain up in the top tier for long, but know. It's fun while it lasts. Yeah.
Well, I'm in the bottom tier, so it's fun being at the bottom of the food chain.
Yes. Well, one other good, piece of good news that I'll mention that's happened in the last week since we last talked, Brad, is we got a tax day extension. So huge. Yeah. For somebody like you as a business owner, but me, this is my first year trying to figure out business taxes for the first time. Uh-huh. So that was when I saw that, a little bit of weight slid off my shoulders. Now what I got to do is just, find that motivation to not just use that as an excuse to continue to procrastinate, but to, to actually take the time to get towards it without having stress. But definitely happy to see that. Well, we got some old friends with us here on the podcast this week, Mark Burnett and Roma Downey. I always want to say Roma Downey Jr., but I don't think
she's not a sibling of your buddy.
Yeah. So Mark and Roma, they have a amazing new film coming out, just called Resurrection, that will be coming out on March the 27th on Discovery Plus. And you got to spend some time talking to them about what's going on with them, about the film itself, about the timeliness of it. And, I think a great part of the conversation is just getting to hear from somebody who's kind of moving and shaking and operating at the highest levels of culture, and how he kind of lets his faith shine and show, and trusts God with what God will do with it. Doesn't put it in people's faces or force it upon people, but just is able to, and all the good that came from that. So I'll just leave it at that.
When you have some of the top shows on TV, you have credibility. Yeah, so
absolutely,
that allows for Mark and for Roma to really, appropriately yield their influence in ways they want to. So this is a lesson from both of them in do your craft well, be the best in the world at what you do, and people will listen.
Absolutely.
Don't create an average or just below average product and then expect everybody to, want to jump on the bandwagon. So, and they are, of course, Roma, touched by an angel, man. She's now getting in producing. She mentions in the interview she's got another film she's doing soon, or that may have been before we started recording. She's going to be filming in Atlanta. So maybe you and some friends, we can get a set visit.
Yeah,
and hang out with
be an extra.
Mark and Rob. You could be an extra, Jason. Yeah. I'm sure they're looking for middle-aged white men. Yes,
they probably are. Yeah, I have quite a history. I think I'm on the IMDb for many extra appearances in Trip and Tyler videos back in the day.
Well,
so
of course you are.
Yeah, yes, you'll see me back there.
You still waiting on those royalties, aren't
you? Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that conversation here in just a minute. Before we get there, I saw a really neat TED Talk presentation this past week that I kind of wanted to mention because I think it's an important topic for leaders. You know, we kind of preach Sabbath here at Catalyst, and as I was watching this talk, I not felt convicted, but got a better understanding myself. I think we all talk about Sabbath. We see the importance of it, but we don't necessarily do a great job at it. And some of us may even think, well, what does that actually even mean? So this talk was not necessarily directly about Sabbath, but it was about 7 types of rest and just showing you this bigger picture that most people think, you know, when they think of rest, they think of physical rest. And of course, that is important, but that's just one type of rest that we need in order to be able to operate at our best. So I'll run through these just really quick, and we'll link we'll put a link in the show notes to the video itself so you can check that out. But just, you know, as I'm kind of going through these and giving a couple of bullet points, maybe just think about, you know, which area is it that you need to put a little bit more focus in the way that you rest. Because really at the end of the day, and I think, of course, this is what God was a big part of God's intention with Sabbath, is so that you can be at your best, that you actually work out of rest instead of resting from work. Hat tip Steve, our buddy Steve, for that one. But let me run through these real quick, Brad. You take some notes, and at the end, I'm going to have to ask you which one which maybe one or two that you think that you may need to step it up in. All right, All right. So mental rest, of course. Again, this is probably one that folks are pretty familiar with. But when you've had a long day at work, you've spent all this mental energy trying to solve problems, that you have to find space to basically just not think about anything. And this could be, getting on Netflix, binging, doing things just that are not requiring mental energy at all. Sensory rest is number 3. And this is another thing we talk about all the time, is that your brain's being bombarded by senses. Your senses are being bombarded all the time, basically when we're on screens. When we have screens taking our attention all the time, it's causing our brain to fire, and we're not able to rest. So just doing something outside, sitting, basically not looking at a screen, just having a block of time where we're doing that, so important. Creative rest. Now, this is one that I think that folks may not quite understand what they mean by this, but it really resonated with me. This is basically, if you are a creative, then creative rest would be consuming creativity. So it would actually be sitting back and allowing yourself to experience something that's creative. So again, this could be going out for a hike and experiencing nature. This could be going to the symphony, going to a museum, doing something where you're watching others create. It actually helps you rest and inspires you at the same time. Emotional rest. This one really, our friend Henry Cloud wrote the book on this one. This is really all about boundaries. How are your boundaries emotionally? Are you able to say no? Does your no actually mean something? Can you carve out time for yourself where you're not allowing other people's problems and issues to weigh on you at all times? Because once again, you can't actually serve and help if that's the case, that you don't have that boundary available. Social rest, pretty self-explanatory. For introverts like myself, this one's a little bit easier than for some others, but this one ties heavily into emotional rest as well. Pretty much guarantee if you don't have social rest, then you don't have emotional rest. And then lastly, for us, this was not a faith-based presentation, but of course, this is the one that makes the most sense to us, spiritual rest, where you're actually taking part in disciplines that silent solitude to connect with God and to find spiritual rest in that way. So there we go.
All right.
There we go. 7 types of rest for folks to be thinking about. Brad, tell me a couple you're doing really well at, and maybe one that you would like to grow some.
I think I can't remember all of them. I wrote them down, but I think I'm pretty good at getting away from screens.
Okay. Sensory rest.
So, yep, sensory rest. And I'm pretty good at getting away from mental.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So the emotional, not sure. Mm-hmm. And I would say the social is also one that probably need to work on. So.
Yeah, you're an extroverted guy, so always wanting to be fed, being around people. So yeah. Again, hopefully that'll just maybe allow us to think a little bit deeper. You know, if we have gotten some physical rest and have thought like, yeah, man, I just still feel tired, I feel weary, maybe it's one of these other areas or categories that you're missing. So I'll link that talk in the show notes so you can check that out for yourself. Brad, it's been a week or so since we've done some recommendations. So before we get to your conversation, let's hit a couple of recommendations. I know you always have recos in the hopper, so you want to hit them with one, or you want me to go first?
Why don't you go ahead?
All right,
and then I'll come in as the closer.
Okay. Now this one, I think I'm probably maybe a week late on, but for those that have not seen this, I would highly recommend the latest season of Last Chance U on Netflix. Mm-hmm. They have made the transition from football to basketball, and this coach that is one of the main characters obviously on the show is an inspiration. If you're a leader, especially if you're leading young people, if you're leading people that, you know, which is all of us, but that have challenges or that are difficult to lead, he is an incredible inspiration, a person of very, very strong faith, and that's all throughout the show, which is kind of new for this show based on what we've seen in the past. But that's always just a great Last Chance U, if you've never watched it before, incredible human interest story, and kind of like just makes you feel good and hopeful about humanity. But this coach I found very impressive on top of that. You had a chance to watch any of that yet, Brad?
No. I do like the Last Chance U series though.
Yeah.
So I'll put it on the old list.
Put it on the list to check that one out.
All right, sir.
And then my second is a little bit more serious nature. Of course, since we've been on the podcast, last week we had a horrible atrocity here in Atlanta, where 8 people were killed, 6 of Asian descent, at various massage parlors throughout the Atlanta area. And just as everything, this has become a highly politicized issue. Of course, we stand by the Asian community. We stand by just anytime you see something like this, it just makes your heart sink and sick, and it's just, you start to ask questions and wonder, how can this happen, and where does this come from, and what drove this person. And it gets politicized. And I wanted to recommend an article by David French. And again, I can link this one. But it's just simply called "Why the Atlanta Massacre Triggered a Conversation About Purity Culture." And so for us in the church that are trying to make sense of what happened, how we can play a part in it, what we can do, what can change, this was just a fantastic essay, just looking fairly at the whole situation. So I won't go into it much because I've already talked a whole lot, but I will recommend that article, and we'll put a link for you.
All right.
There's
I got a couple. Human Hope is Carlos Whitaker's new podcast.
Yes.
Human Hope. Do you know about this?
I do. Yep.
Okay, good. Also, a new album, Alone with My Faith, from Harry Connick Jr. How about that? You know about that one?
I do not know about that one.
Alone with My Faith, Harry Connick Jr. Put that on your list. Spotify, Apple Music, go get it, stream it, listen to it. And I'll give you one more. I'm a big fan of the Meat Eater series on Netflix.
Oh,
Jason
yeah.
Haynes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know about this?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Steve Pirelli or Pinelli or something like that. But he is. I'm a hunter, and I love to hunt, fish, and be outside. And I think he's so appropriately helpful in helping people just understand, why hunting and what the value of it is, and really like the whole premise that hunters are actually the greatest conservationists.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, check out Meat Eater series on Netflix. He also he did a documentary called Under the Sky or Under the Starry Sky that is really, really good too. So there you go. There's recommendations.
I have to make a confession. I have not watched Meat Eaters. I will check that out. I thought it was there was the one about all the different barbecue joints, which I thought that's what you were talking about.
Different.
Yeah. So I'll have to check that out. Awesome. Well, hopefully you heard something there that you'll want to check out. And again, we'll put links in the show notes for these. So let's go ahead and jump into Brad's conversation with Mark and Roma. We pretty much already set that up. So here's Brad sitting down with Mark and Roma.
Mark and Roma, you guys are at your house, right? You're at home.
Yes. Yeah, we're in Malibu.
Yeah. Love the view there. Incredible view. Have you gone anywhere in the last several months?
Yeah, we were in Park City quite a lot at our other home.
We have a home in Park City, so we've kind of gone up and down very quietly, but we haven't really been anywhere. I mean, honestly, I still have the same tank of gas in my car that I locked down with in March.
No way.
Yep.
Wow. Now, Mark, I'm not gonna call you out, but I'm seeing some like muscles there with your T-shirt on. What's going on here? Are you working out?
Not really. I'm getting old.
I mean, listen, you got the gun show out though. You doing some push-ups or something?
I can't see it on my screen.
Well, he was just doing push-ups right before he sat down.
No, I was not.
He said, I want to do these push-ups for Brad.
To impress Brad, yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. I'm sure you were. Well, let's talk about Resurrection. I mean, this is the fun thing we're talking about. This movie coming out, which timing-wise, perfect for Easter, March 27th, Discovery Plus.
Yes, we're very excited. It's the perfect time for this film. I think everybody's very hungry for stories of hope.
Yeah.
And, there's no greater story of hope than the story of the resurrection.
And this is this continues to be a theme for both of you. I mean, you have you really laid down the gauntlet of the last several years of creating just incredibly well done, but powerfully biblical adaptations and series, movies. This is, I guess we call Resurrection a movie, right? Even though it's releasing on Discovery Plus, but it's still a 90-minute feature film?
It's a feature-length film, and it plays out. It's fast, it's compelling. It plays out like a thriller, really, Brad. It opens up at the crucifixion, and then it follows the story from the point of view of the disciples right after Jesus has died. So they're filled with grief and fear and confusion, as their beloved master and teacher and Lord has been killed, and maybe they'll be next. So they're unsure, should they flee the city? What should they do? And of course they decide to stay at least the 3 days, because Jesus has promised that on the third day he would rise. And of course he does. And the world is forever changed. But I think in the telling of the story from this place, it allows us, the audience, to really relate and identify to the humanity of all involved. And in the genre that hasn't really, this particular segment of the story hasn't really been told before. I mean, as you know, we made the film Son of God.
Yeah.
But it dealt more with the ministry of Jesus, and even the Passion, Mel's The Passion deals more, with that specific, with the passion of Jesus. So this really takes the crucifixion and then the story forward, and it ends up right after Pentecost, and but it's a very exciting film.
Yeah, at the very end as well, we took it from, so that Pentecost happens. It really empowers Peter and the disciples. We go through when he heals the lame man, when he says, "I have silver and gold I don't have, but what I can give you is this," and get up and walk. And then the trial, when they're thrown in prison, and the whole trial, and where the lame man actually advocates and says, no, this is true. I was lame, and in the name of Jesus, I can walk, and everything changes. And then the moment when Caiaphas says to them, okay, I'm going to let you go, but do not speak of this again. And Peter says, well, we're going to follow your instructions or the instructions of God. Of course, we're going to speak of this again. and Gamaliel, the senior priest, says, let them go. Because if it's not true, nothing's going to happen. And if it is God, what can we do? That great part, of the Gospels.
Oh, yeah, I love that part.
And then it goes on. At the very end of the film shows how the 12, then a few dozen, then a few thousand turned into 2.5 billion of us globally. The supernatural element that swept and is still sweeping the world. And movies like this, Brad, just help evangelize. Because I tell you one thing with this movie is that, let's say you'd never read the Bible, never been to church, didn't know the Gospels at all, and watched the movie, you'd be so intrigued, and you'd really identify that, wow, this is such a great, it's a thriller. It really is a thriller. And amazing, just when the authorities thought they'd won by killing the leader of this crazy group, 3 days later, despite the Roman seal, the Roman guards, the temple guards, a giant angel opens that tomb. He's back. It's really brilliant.
I love it. Wait, what's been the response from some of your other friends in the film world and Hollywood? I mean, obviously the Christian community, we're incredibly excited about this film. But some of your other friends, are they saying, "Oh, here, Mark and Roma, what are you doing again?"
Here they come, those crazy Christians.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what they're saying, but I imagine it might be something like that.
But I think, to be fair, Brad, you've known us for a decade. It's like, I think on the Bible, it was like, what? Why would they do this? They got such big careers, The Voice, Survivor, Touch by an Angel. Why are they doing this? Shark Tank. And they're going to destroy their careers. And in fact, as you know, our careers grew from the Bible. Then they said, destroy your marriage. And we didn't just survive, we're thriving, as a marriage for doing this together. And see, I think in some ways, it used to be like, what is this? And now it's like, oh, them again, right? And so I think people just accept it, and honestly, we didn't lose any friends, we gained friends. When we have people of all kind of faiths or no faith at dinner, pre-COVID, and will happen again soon, we always say grace, everyone holds hands, everyone's respectful. Because in the end, who wouldn't want a prayer to thank you for the food, to thank God for the food, and to bless their families and their children? No one's going to refuse loving prayers.
Yeah. Now, the Insider Baseball, MGM, Mark, you're the big dog, executive chairman, or is that what you call yourself? The executive big cheese at MGM?
I'm
the chairman globally of all television for MGM. And there's also my counterpart, Mike DeLuca, is the chairman of feature films. So no.
But Roma,
I've never had a job before, Brad. It's my first job in my life.
Well, congratulations. Congratulations, you finally got a real role.
Good job.
Roma heads up the light workers, which is
the Faith and Family Division of
the Faith
MGM.
and Family Division.
And
so is Mark your boss?
We're so grateful.
Yes. Am I your boss?
Am I sleeping with the boss? Wait a minute.
I'm going to tell human resources right away.
Yeah, that's definitely a red flag for HR.
I'm so delighted that, how about Go MGN to have a faith and family division, first of all. And also Go Discovery Plus for planting a flag in the ground and saying, we want to have faith content on our new streaming platform. And if the Resurrection movie does well, we will have more, And so we're very encouraged by that, because even though we're a massive group of people, we believers, I think sometimes the programmers in our industry still think of us as some, small
cults.
Some small marginalized,
some small
group.
niche.
They don't realize that we're actually the family next door, and on the other side, and down the street, and and on and on.
It's
and
so
on.
true. Like, Christians watch The Voice. There was Super Bowl,
of course,
NBA,
but their programmers are not necessarily programming for Christians. And so that's why we don't always see values that we hold dear reflected in the programs that we watch on TV or in the films that we go see in the theater. And so we really are grateful that Discovery Plus, recognize that and the fact that they will do more. So we're very hopeful that the audience can mobilize and come in and, show up, because obviously, without that support, we don't get to keep doing what we do. And, we're really just trying to provide great resources and tools for church and church community to make these exciting films about things that we all care about.
And it's great, Brad, to think that Son of God goes right from the birth of Jesus right through the ministry and to the crucifixion. Then Resurrection, this film, begins with the crucifixion, through the resurrection and right through Pentecost. And we have another film we're just finishing called The Disciples that starts way after Pentecost and what happens. And then Paul comes on the scene and where they all go and what they all do. It's like, so it'll be a trilogy for us: Son of God, Resurrection, The Disciples.
And now, is this breaking news, The Disciples? I mean, are we?
Yeah, it hasn't been on the news yet.
No,
it's breaking. We'll have to get the ticker tape along the bottom.
Yeah. And of course, the Bible series. Hello. I mean, that was just a small project as well from several years ago.
Oh my gosh! We were just talking about that the other day, and Mark and I were remembering, that as well as the excitement that we felt about embarking on such a journey, the sheer terror that we also felt, and the responsibility that we felt to be bringing the Bible to television. And as always, on Resurrection, we worked with, theologians and consultants, because when you tackle, the Bible and you want to lift the stories to bring them to the screen, we want to make sure they're, that they're accurate and so on. But
and also not only accuracy has been hard, and we worked on it, but we sort of make sure you can feel the characters and the journey. Like, these were real people. Imagine, honestly, being a disciple and your leader who, you believe is the Son of God, but I guess they're not completely certain, but they're following him and they love him, and they think nothing can happen to this guy. And he's murdered brutally, publicly. And now they're like, what happened? How could this happen? They've forgotten about the rising again, didn't quite get it, obviously. Peter ran away. And so they're now thinking, we are next. We've got to get out of Dodge. Jerusalem is unsafe. They're going to kill all of us. They're going to kill us. And they wait 3 days, and he comes back and everything changes. And it's like, what a great... Just imagine if you weren't a Christian, didn't know the Bible, and watched that story. Right. It could be like Lord of the Rings, for example. It's so powerful with the story. And we're hoping this movie, because it's been told in such a Hollywood, well-made, gripping, thriller way, people who don't know Jesus will watch it and want to find out more. And that's the goal.
Well, and spoiler alert, we know how it ends, right?
Yes, we do. We do.
But there's still so much of a story that you all really dive into. Yeah.
Oh, yes, because the scripture tells us, the facts of what happened, but it's the Bible isn't written like a novel. Like, we don't know what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what's going on, and film, we're able to create that context for the truth of the story to emerge. There's a beautiful moment when they, Mary, of course, Jesus chooses to let Mary Magdalene be the first face that will look on his resurrected self. And she at first doesn't know him. She's so shocked that he's back, and she goes running down anyway. She goes to tell the others, and they all come back up to the tomb. And so John and Peter, and so John runs into the tomb, and we have Peter saying, what's in there? What was in there? And he said, nothing and everything. It's such a great line, because he found nothing in the tomb, but because he found nothing in the tomb, it was everything.
Wow.
It's beautiful stuff.
Yeah, and a very good diverse cast. As an English African actor playing John and other disciples. Mary Magdalene is a British African actress, and so it's very diverse. We really listened to previous comments that could we try and improve diversity on the casting. So I think we're improving our job, and we're grateful to our relationship with you. I mean, right from the very beginning, Brad, you've been with us on this journey. This is our fourth big project. Disciples will be our fifth. And as I said, we are remaining to be the noisiest Christians in Hollywood. And it doesn't seem so silly to people anymore. It's like, oh, that's those guys. Okay, they're Christians. That's it.
I love it. I remember, Mark, when I first met you, which was at Catalyst West.
Yeah.
And you showed up, and I don't know what we were promoting, but you were there to talk about, it may have been, I'm not sure what it was.
I'd been Son of God.
No,
it was the Bible series, I think. Yeah. But I've just, as you said, 10 years in, and loved seeing you all have such an impact in culture, and obviously The Voice and Shark Tank and all the things that Roma has done. I mean, you're playing at the top of the food chain, but you're also like allowing your faith to be just such an integral part of who you are and what you do and the stories you tell.
Yeah, and we try to be non-threatening to non-believers, because that we've seen that over the centuries and decades. It doesn't work. People who are not believers don't want to be admonished for being not believers.
Yeah.
Love them. Yes.
Right.
By the way, a quick funny thing. Remember Catalyst West? I bought a massive piece of art.
I totally remember that.
Jesus' face.
Oh, with
made
skateboards all over it.
And so
fabulous.
That's on loan right now.
We loaned it to Oaks Christian, where our kids went to school here in Westlake. They have it on the wall, but it's a fabulous piece.
I think what we might do, we might get that back and maybe loan that to the Museum of the Bible, Roma, in DC. It's so cool, right? So Jesus out of skateboards. From a distance, it just looked like Jesus' face. When you get up close, it's just like hundreds and hundreds of skateboards.
By the way, you made their day, because they came running to me going, okay, Mark Burnett just bought our art piece. And I was like, that's what happens at Catalyst. Like they were blown away. They were over the moon because you had purchased that from them.
It's a beautiful piece.
Yes.
Roma, why now you didn't cast yourself in Resurrection?
No. I have a great cast, Brad. And in particular, my Greta Sacchi, who plays Mary, the mother of Jesus, gives an extraordinary performance. As an actress, she brings a lot of personal dignity to the role. And, there's nothing ever more moving for me, I think, just because I have a mother's heart myself. But those scenes set at the foot of the cross, and that his mother chose to stay, is just, can't imagine what she must have been feeling or thinking to witness such an awful thing. But she stayed there. So that was courageous to stay there, because I know that she wanted him to be able to look down and see the face of someone who loved him, to look into the eyes of someone who loved him. And, and he, while he was dying, we know from scripture, he said 7 things. He's dying, his dying breath. He takes time to love her. He says, John, this is your mother. Mother, this is your son, so that she would be taken care of afterward. You got to love a man that loves his mom. I mean, it's just, So moving. She did great. Our whole cast were great. Listen, Brad, it takes a village to make a movie, you know. And we're so grateful to all the excellent craftspeople, actors, designers, Hans Zimmer, that great score. You know, I mean, it's just epic stuff. It's epic.
Yeah. And Jesus is played by, is it Diego, who was also in...
No, it's played by Juan Pablo de Pache.
Oh, Juan Pablo. Yes, sorry.
Juan Pablo does an amazing job. And indeed, for the crucifixion sequence, because it's a very challenging sequence for everybody involved. You know, I mean, even though it's a reenactment, it's upsetting. It's upsetting even just to try to imagine it, but very challenging in particular for the actor, because he has to strip off his clothes and he has to get up on a cross. And we, as producers, have to make sure logistically that cross is bolted to the ground, that there's under no circumstances will that cross move or fall over, the actor's completely safe, etc. And it's it's a very where the film was shot. We flew Juan's mother, his own mother, his real life mother, came down to be of emotional and spiritual support to him. She herself is a visual artist, a painter, and a painter of religious art. And so I think it was special for both of them to share in that moment together.
So I'll give you guys the last word. I mean, you got lots of leaders listening, watching. What do you want to say to them?
Well, just hoping that, it was going to be in the theaters, which would have been, I don't know, $10, $12 a ticket. Right now, for $4.99, you get a whole service with it. So it's a much cheaper way, and you can do it at home. We didn't want to be responsible for encouraging people into theaters just in case the COVID wasn't over.
This way you can watch it from the comfort and safety of your own home. You gather together with your whole family, you know.
And also Discovery Plus have put a whole set of programming for faith, for our audience around it. Like Roma's show, Answered Prayers, a show called Angels Among Us, Preaching Alabama, Super Soul Sunday from Oprah. I mean, so there's probably 20 shows around it. Anyway, so it's good value, and what we'd like leaders to do, just support it. I think it's a great movie. You've seen it, a great movie, and we're hoping it can be an every Easter, something that people tune in to watch Resurrection to remind people what Easter really is all about.
That's right. Really, I mean, we love the Easter Bunny. And we do appreciate a couple of chocolate eggs. It's true. But, in the same way that we want to always encourage people to keep Christ in Christmas, I think we also want to encourage people to keep Christ in Easter.
Yes.
And to be able to sit together with your own family and watch this beautiful Easter offering is, I think, a perfect way to celebrate this Easter season.
Yep. He is risen.
Hallelujah.
He is risen indeed. You guys are the best. Thank you. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for, it's always great to see you. Always great to catch up. Hopefully in person soon.
Yeah, we
hope so, Brad.
We miss you. We'd love to see you. Be well, man.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Mark and Roma, again, for being with us. By the way, Brad, I thought it was cool. Somehow I had missed the fact that Mark was actually the one that bought that skateboard art from Catalyst West all those years ago. Yeah,
throwback to the skateboard wall.
When he first started talking about that, I was like, what is he talking about? And as soon as he said skateboards, I was like, oh yeah, I 100% remember that. And it is. It's
probably helped him set it up out there.
Yeah, I did. I absolutely did. And
you were getting sunburned while you were doing it.
Yeah, I was absolutely getting sunburned setting that up. But that's awesome. That he has that, and just to see the history and the partnership, that they've had for, that was 10 years ago. At least. Yeah. So just really cool. And again, just great to hear from them and to see how you basically already said it, but how they're putting their faith into what they're producing and how they're producing these just top level, pieces of art that we can see a different humanity put onto the story that we know so well.
Well, let's all roll out and it's $5, I think, for the month to get Discovery Plus. So you can do the math on that one. I mean, it's cheaper than going to the theater if you go ahead and sign up for it for a month, and then you get access to lots of different shows.
Yeah.
And lots of people can watch it. So
yeah.
By the way, have you watched Messiah on Netflix?
I have not.
That's also a Mark and Roma connected series. It's edgy. I'll just say that. I really like it, but it's definitely edgy.
Is that the one where it's kind of like a modern retelling sort of? Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
They got a lot of things out there in the film and TV world that we're not even aware of, that they've helped and worked on. And as the chairman of MGM, Mark is involved in lots of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you check that out from Discovery Plus, $5, and you get a whole month of Discovery Plus, which I'm assuming means that you get all the episodes of Wicked Tuna and Deadliest Catch.
Exactly.
So
Gold Rush.
Yeah, that sounds like I mean,
those
you guys
clowns on Gold Rush.
You're behind on what Parker Schnabel's doing.
Exactly. I love the Gold Rush, but it's like watching a train that is just about to go off the tracks.
Yes, absolutely. Hey,
so that's all included with your $5.
With your $5
to also get the Resurrection movie.
Absolutely. So that's a can't miss opportunity. Brad, we didn't include this in our recommendations. I just thought of it, and I haven't watched it yet. But aren't you a fan of the Formula One on Netflix? I think there's a new season of that out too.
Drive to Survive, man. Come on.
I think
Drive to Survive. I never before was into Formula One, and that particular series, the first year of it, sucked me in, and then now I am like, I'm a nerd. I'm a Formula One nerd now. It's crazy, like how much I'd shifted from totally unaware to totally sucked in to the vortex.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. This is insider baseball right here, Jason Haynes. Daniel Harkavy, okay?
Oh,
our old buddy, from Building Champions. One of his clients is Mercedes. And he has been over to to their headquarters in Germany. And he said to me, well, one of these days when we're back traveling again, you need to come with me and we'll go over and we'll get a tour of their Formula One, place.
Oh my gosh.
So Harkavy, if you're listening, I'm holding you to that.
Yeah.
Listen, you threw that out there and didn't think I would take you up on it, but your old buddy, I'll be hitting you up on the text or email to dial that one in.
Yeah, that would be absolutely amazing. Because again, you're talking about the top of the top of the top of an industry.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, and maybe Lewis Hamilton will show you guys around.
If I get to hang out with Lewis Hamilton, that's next level. He is one of those I'm working to try to figure out how to get connected to, have on a podcast, have him speak at an event, something.
Yeah. I mean, he is a brother in Christ. So
exactly. Lewis, listen, I know you're listening.
Yeah,
Hit me up.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, we've had some fun this week. Hope you guys enjoyed hearing from Mark and Roma. In all seriousness,
that was Lewis. He just texted me.
Good. In all seriousness, make sure you check out the movie coming March the 27th. And again, the challenge for this week is to go back and think about the different levels or types of rest that you can work into your life. What's missing, and what do you need to put a little bit more work into in order to rest? Which area do you need to focus on with your rest this week? So with that, lead well, and we'll see you next time.
This is the Catalyst Podcast.